welcome to my relic farming management tool. This is something I created because I wanted more flexibility to manage my relic farming and keep track of where my heroes are at and how many relic materials I have. And so I created this because the bots in Discord and Swigga.gg have some things that are useful, but I want an overall picture that I can constantly update and kind of have a really good visual in front of me. So that's why I made this. It has a little bit more. There is something similar on .gg where you can say, "Hey, I want the Java farm," right? You can click Galactic Legends or the larger capital ships, and it can say, "Okay, here's what you need," and it looks at your count and kind of figures it out. But it just stops there, and I want to be able to look at several farms. And what if I have someone that's not on that list? And what if I want to take them to a higher relic than suggested in the farm, right? So that's why I have this. Also, there are daily wins that I get with this, right? I'll be going after one relic material, and I get it up and I'm like, yes, this is awesome. And so I get more wins more often versus just when I get a hero to a certain relic or get them unlocked or that many shards or whatever. And it just feels like I'm winning more and it makes the game a little bit more fun and engaging for me. So hopefully it can help you too. Right. So I'm going to teach you how to use it. And let's just start off with some farms that I'm working on. Right. Malgus, right? So this is the farm, and or I guess proving grounds, right? You can name it whatever you want. Maybe raid requirements for your guild, right? My guild just required all of us to get Scorch and Tarkin up to 9, and but after that, let's say I want to work on uh, proving grounds, Malgus. Let's see, Darth. Give the man some respect. Okay, cool. And then I need to work on some of my other farming materials. So I need to get my poncho bros up, right? And I can say Obe Juan. And I need to get Master Y guy. Cool, right. And so it's not important to have perfect spelling or the full name, whatever, because this is not going to be pulling from your account. This is something you need to come in and update manually. However, I find that the amount you need to put in is not nearly as much as you might think. And once you get it going, we all know farms can take a long time, right? So here are my next 3 farms. Right, so you put your farm, you're generally what you want to call it, the heroes inside it, and then where you have them at. Well, guess what? I've got them already at 9. And we were supposed to get them to 9 so that we could get a good score in the raid because we're trying to hit a really good crate, right? Well, Darth Malgus, I have him at 0, and I want to get him to. I'd like to get him to 9. And Obi-Wan and Master Qui Guy, look, I don't know if I want to take him all the way to 9. Maybe I just want to take him to 7, right? And guess what? I've got him at 0. So right now, this is kind of my next 3 farms, and you've got 20 lines here. You can put as many farms, or if you have a really big farm that can take a huge chunk of this, it can handle it, right? So what you do is you come over here and you just click and say, I just want to look at Tarkin and Scorch. Well, guess what? I'm done. I don't need to worry about them. Okay, well, let's look at Darth Malgus too. Okay, he's going to require this much of each relic material and this much credits and signal data to get to 9, right? If I want to get him day 1 when I unlock him, this is what I need to have ready to go, as well as maybe the gear, right? So this focuses only on relic upgrades, relic levels. This is not to keep track of necessarily gear you need or the level. You should just spend the credits to me. Just level them up. If you don't have enough credits, get good. So this is just for relics, right? So if I don't have Malgus unlocked, I have him at 0. If I have him at Gear 4, I have him at 0. If I have at Relic 0, I have him at 0. The only time this changes is when I get him up to Relic 1, 2, 3, 4, right, etc. Oh, holy cow! Yeah, that they're just freaked out. Yeah, let's not do that. Okay, so this is what I need for him. And then this is what I need for all of my three farms right here. I need all of these resources, right? So when you're trying to go get signal data, you're like, I'm just going to go to 400 and then stop. Well, you don't need to. You can look here and it tells you exactly what you need to get to, and then you can stop or maybe get right before whatever, however you want to do it. But this is so that you can manage it a little bit better. Okay, let's see. So, okay, so let's continue to go through these columns a little bit more and explain these. So, right, you got the farm, the hero, the like you have them at, and then the target you want to get them to. And you can change this up quite a bit. And every time you change this, it's going to tell you, different numbers based off of what you need and where you're at. Keeps track of you. So, it doesn't connect to your account, but if you keep this updated, which, to be honest, we're not relicking people up nonstop every other hour, you will be able to uh, have this up and use it for quite a while before you need to maybe erase a farm and get it going again. Okay, so let's look at this. You can also come in, and this is what I like to do once or twice a day. I like to come in and say, okay, how many carbonite circuit boards do I have, right? I pull up my phone, I go to the app or on your computer, whatever. Okay, I have 300 circuit boards and I have this many bronze wires, right? So we'll just go through and let's just make up some numbers. Cool, right? When you put in credits, it is already figuring it out for you. So just put the number. Don't worry about commas. Don't worry about this format right here. You can just say, I have 400 million. And it just knows. And yes, that's how much I have. A little bit more than that. But that it just goes to show that I don't know how to spend my credits properly. I'm nervous, and so I just save up. Right? And so it turns green when it says, okay, you can stop farming this for whatever you currently have selected, right? Just looking at these three farms, there you go. It's green. So you don't need to work on these heat sinks or transistors anymore. Just focus on the other ones, right? And you can do the same with signal data. Uh, I don't know why you would have that, but you could. So right. So this just kind of tells you as you're getting close, okay, I come in, guess what? I just bought two more impulse detectors at the store, right? I used some raid currency, went in here. Look at that. It turns green. You get all excited. And so um let's see. Yeah. So that's what happens and why that works. So this column right here is totally optional. I don't suspect maybe a lot of people would want to use it, but I find it really useful. So I'm going to get rid of this because it's going to confuse me and I'm not looking at it anymore, right? Okay, so these numbers are just looking at these boxes. And these boxes are just looking at the column or the cells right next to them. So clicking on this will do nothing unless there are numbers both here to go, right? So the problem we have here is, okay, yes, this column, not a problem. So if you want to work on a farm and you also don't want it to hold up the other one or you want to work on several at a time, this is kind of a cool little tool. So let me show you how it works. Darth Malgus. I unlock him, let's say, in 3 months because he's a Proving Grounds character. I'm getting 20 shards a month. There's nothing I can do to speed it up. I gotta wait 3 months. I can use an icon to remind myself what type of resource I'm using currently on that. Okay? 3 months, it's time, right? And so that's what these are here for. Feel free to use them if you want. You don't really need to. But if that's the case, let's say I've got everything ready to go on my Malgus. I don't want to wait 3 months for when I unlock him, relic him up, and then go get my Poncho Bros. No, I want to start getting them up now. What if I can get higher tiers in their Duel of the Fates, right? There's all battle. sooner if I can spend those resources. But I don't want to overdo it, right? I want to have just enough resources so I can get Darth Malgus day one. How do I do that? Well, that's what this is for. So if I come in here and I only click Darth Malgus, or only click the farms I just want to be looking at, I can copy these numbers over and just type them down, right? 200, 220, 180, 100. Cool. So now some red's going to pop up, and this red tells you what you have left over, right? You currently have 300 circuit boards, but you only need 200 for Malgus. Guess what? You are good to go. You can spend 100 without worrying on whatever you want, preferably your next farm, right? And so when you click on these, this number goes back up. And so the green is just telling you, do you have enough for your overall farm? The red over here is telling you, don't spend this, you don't have enough yet, or you have just enough. Or if it's not highlighted, right, if it's still blue, you're good to go. You've got leftover, you can spend it. And so that is kind of how I use these columns for this. Cool. So the icons, I showed them a little bit over here, but the icons are for you to keep track of where you are spending your resources. Feel free to use it or not. I got, I think all of these resources. Oh yeah, that's my name. No, I made the edit. That's why my name's in there. That's the website I use to get these icons. So if you need to or want to use them, that's where I got them. And that website has some outdated stuff, but also some good stuff. So take it with a pinch of salt. I don't know when it was last updated. Regardless, I went and stole those icons for it. And that's where I got the majority of the icons for the other sheets as well. So let me show you what I am currently working. I don't need this sheet because there we go. Okay, this is my current farm. I am working on Leviathan, right? And I'm trying to get the ships, and then I want to get Malgus and then Poncho Bros. So I've got 4 farms, but this Leviathan farm plus Malgus and ships is really just one farm. I've just separated it into 3 sections. But here's my next 4 farms, right? I want to get these guys up, and here's what happens. The target, I need to get them, right? This is what the app tells me I need, and then this is where I have them. And if I upgrade someone like Darth Maul, then I get to say, oh, he's at 5 today. And then this changes, and I need to go through and change all this because I spent some, right? And so that is the way you can manage this tool. Now I have 8 months before the Fury class interceptor. I will find ways to speed that up, but basically that's my overall time limit. I need to get this whole Leviathan farm done within 8 months. The moment that ship comes out, I want to unlock the Leviathan that day or that month when the Leviathan event happens. So don't click on these boxes right next to where you have maybe you're keeping track of shards. That's useful. This is just trying to figure out relic materials, so don't do that. But you can put shards in here to kind of keep track. Okay, here's how close I am. Okay, so let's talk about uh, these icons, right? So you can see on my current farm, I have lots of different parts of it that are requiring normal energy. And so I've just grabbed this normal energy icon and I'm putting it next to those spots. And guess what? I've got ships and Cantina requiring Cantina energy. I'm sorry, Signal data requiring Cantina energy. And then also I'm doing crystal refreshes on the Cantina nodes. Well, I could slash should be, but I'm not right now. And I will get back to that. But this Extinction class bomber, this is going to take me the longest out of all of this with normal energy. And so I need to be doing crystal refreshes on that. The tie dagger and the 50 RT, I don't have all the shards for 50 RT. That's why this is here. I'm just using that, you know, doing those 5 battles once a day, so I don't need to use crystals. So you can quickly see I'm moving these icons around to keep track of my resources. And this is really helpful for the relic materials as well because I recently just got all these 7 green. However, before this, they were not all green, and I was like, okay, what am I using to get impulse detectors? And foreshadow, you can come over here, impulse detectors. You can say, okay, this needs this currency, this currency, this currency, right? Okay, so guild activity, shard, and raid. Let's come back here. So for impulse detector, I need, what was it? It was guild activity, shard, and raid currency. Well, if you start to fill this out, at least on the blank ones, right? I've got these blank. I don't have them done. I have these done. I'm gonna have to either just spend time or crystals getting the droid brains. So you can quickly see, okay, what is competing for resources? Okay, everything's competing for Mark through raid currency. Everything wants to use it, right? In these top ones. And so you can quickly say, okay, only one thing is requiring this Mark Raid 1 currency. I can go to town on this one thing because none of my current farm needs it. And when I'm done with that, I can either save it, I can use it to go get shards for the characters if you don't have them yet. But that is a great way to um, find out like how all in you can go in on certain currencies and which one should be saved, right? So that's what that's for. And you can just pull them back over here and put them back in their little piles. This I find very useful. Feel free to use it if you want. But yeah. Okay, cool. So I made this and I've updated. This is the second version. However, I'm going to need to update it again because they've announced Relic 10 and Relic Delta, and then with that, economic changes, which I think is even bigger. So this can now handle 10 if you put it in. However, it's pulling from data, and that data currently says 0 because I don't know what 10 really is yet. No one really knows. Oh gosh, what have I done? So I will update this and put the real numbers in when that happens, and not just for Relic 10, but also any other economic changes that might happen, right? It might require less relic materials for various relic levels, and so anyway, this is very subject to change. So it'll probably need to be re-downloaded, worked on, whatever. But it doesn't take long to put all these in because now each day I'm just coming in, I'm looking at it, maybe once in a while, I'm saying, okay, I got a few more heat sinks today, or I got 100 bronziums today. It's so exciting. It's fun to see this number go up, right? So that's kind of what I was talking about earlier with seeing kind of the bigger wins. So, okay, cool. Yeah, so oh yeah, see this cantina energy on these two ships and the signal data. This is something worth mentioning, and this is just my opinion and how I do it, and I find very useful. But I am not spending anything on signal data right now. I'm not doing the 3 refreshes a day that all the YouTubers are telling you to do. I'm just using it on these two ships. I'm just doing one ship at a time, and then I'm going to go to the next one. Once I'm done, then I'm going to go to signal data. And there's a reason for that. And it translates to a lot of the other relic tools or relic material farming. If I were to go up and just get all of this cantina energy or signal data right now, then that would be awesome. All right, time to switch back over and go get the ships. And or maybe you could divide, which I don't like doing that. I don't really see a huge reason to do that. Well, guess what? During that whole time I was doing that, maybe it took me a few weeks, let's say. I bet you anything I'm not going to get any of these sharks. And if I do, it's maybe there's a calendar and I got 5 or something. It's not going to be, game breaking. However, if I focus on these ships first, which are more rare and the game isn't just handing out to you, guess what? It is handing you signal data in many different ways. Game modes, assault battles, um, sometimes it's free in the shop, right? It just happens. It just shows up. And I'm not saying it's crazy bonkers, but I'd rather have that accruing slowly than uh, working all on it only to be getting more after I finished, right? Yes, you could have left over for your next farm, and that's fine, but this help is helping me manage my resources so that I get my farm the fastest. Uh, in my version of the fastest, right? I'm sure other people have done the math and figured out that I'm doing it totally wrong or whatever. right? And a lot of this is going to base off your crystal income, right? If you have a lot of crystals, you can start dumping them on droid brains, and you can do, 8 different refreshes on different nodes and lots of energy, and that's fine. But for someone who just spent all of their crystals recently on something that they shouldn't have, this is what I'm dealing with. So, yes, I did that. It was quite unfortunate. So, this a similar strategy applies when talking about the relic materials. Now, down here, I've listed out a page per relic material, and it's going down in rarity, right? So it's droid brains, and it goes all the way to carbonite circuit boards at the end. If you go watch any YouTuber, they're like, let's figure out all the secrets I have. They start with carbonite circuit boards, but I think it's better to train your mind to think about the more expensive stuff because just like the signal data, the game just gives you carbonite circuit boards, bronzium, and yes, you need a lot. Yes, there are bottlenecks, but you are naturally accruing those faster than you're accruing the other ones. So I like to start high and then go low. And you can quickly look at the top ones and realize you can split up your resources between them and get a lot of them quite quickly or more efficiently, if you will. And so that's why it's in this order, right? So each page helps you figure out how to get that relic material, and it focuses on what you can actively do to get it and not as much passively. There are some passive ways in here or things that are more rare, but that's because the gear is more rare, and I'm just trying to help you figure out any way you can get it because it's sex. I'm talking to you, droid brains. So yeah, so let me just walk through the droid range real quick. Right, it's got a little bit of blurb up here, kind of explaining the overall like feel you're gonna have when you're going after it. And yeah, you can get it from the episode track or air battles, but those require spending real money, right? It doesn't require spending real money down here, right? So where can I get it? You can get it in the weekly shipment, and it's gonna require crystal income. You just need crystals, and you can. It's a small picture, but you can spend 1,500 crystals, and you can just get 5, right? And if you need 20 per character and you're not getting it as fast in other areas, this is the way to speed that up. And maybe you need to take a hit and stop doing energy refreshes for a little bit so that you can get that final chunk of droid brains or whatever. So, and this is specifically when you're trying to get stuff to Relic 9. So when you're not, you don't have to worry about this as much, right? So you can just get back to this page, right? And the reason I put the assault battles in here and not really in the other ones is because something you can actively do right now for these assault battles is start farming these characters. And is it super wise? Yes, people have done the math, and then they're like, oh, it only takes 18 months to get your stuff back. Are you going to be playing this game in 18 months? If you're watching this video and you're looking at this Excel sheet, you probably are. But this is something you can actively do right now. Get these characters, get Leia Organa, right? Get these farms done so that you have a few more options to get to your droid brains. And if nothing else, you can just hope and pray that your guild does well in territory war, and or that they have high enough power to get some potential droid brains for rewards. And if you're not in a guild that's getting these, but you think you should be, right? You're at a point in the game where you're like, I should be farming Relic Nines, and your guild is not helping you, then it's time to look for maybe a larger guild that fits in one of these brackets, right? I'm lucky enough that I'm in a guild that does have it is in the highest bracket. So when I get a win, when they get a win, I'm totally mooching off of them. When they get a win, we get a win, I get 5 droid brains. And if we lost, well, at least I get second place. I get one. At least I get one, right? That's something. So any way you can get droid brains, you should, right? And so then you go to Gerda keypads, also required for level 9. But there's more options here. And so when you look at these resources and you come back here, you can say, okay, these resources are needed for this one. Guess what? Arrow magnifiers, it's kind of like droid brains. It's a little bit harder to get. And you get in territory war. Yes, you can get it in conquest. And once again, that's not something you can actively do right now if it's not open. Uh, but these are kind of one of those things like the droid brains. Like you just get it any way you can, and the best way for me. Everyone's going to tell you it's not different, but it's not in the scavenger. So if you want it now, you go to the guild store, right? So you come back here and let's see. So Gerda keypads took these two current or these three currencies, right? But it also took Mark III. Okay, yeah, you can spend Mark III on it. You can spend these other two, but I'll specifically usually say don't spend that resource on it because I personally have found that it doesn't feel good or it slows things down or it doesn't make sense to me. And if it makes someone else, please mansplain to me and help me figure that out. Right, arrow magnifiers is really you're just like looking at Mark III, and then like let's look at impulse detectors. Okay, very similar. Wait, is it the exact same? No, it's not. Look, it's got a slightly different option. Okay, so cool. So this, when you start to fill this out, which you don't really need to, but I like to do it each time when I'm looking for that specific, right? When this isn't green and I need more, I like to come down here and say, okay, what am I spending today? Right? You can quickly start to realize, okay, I can work on several of these at a time. Okay, you get a bunch of this from energy, but also these. Normal energy, right? Okay, so fleet energy. So you can start to move your energy around and figure out where you need stuff. And so very quickly, I realized, yes, I could spend crystals on this, but only one of them is really requiring crystals. Okay, only spend crystals there, right? Okay, what if I come up here? Well, out of like, you know, if you're following the suggestion I give where you're only going top to bottom, right, in relic materials, rarity first to low rarity, then or low rarity, you'll start to realize, okay, only the Gerda keypad is taking this one. Okay, so I don't have to worry about this going to anything else. I can just breathe easy when I buy something with this, knowing it's just going to my Gerda keypads and it's not slowing things down. You know what? Everything's requiring Mark III raid currency right now, but that's the only way I can get arrows. You know what? I'm going to pull this off on the other ones and say, hey, I'm just going to work on arrow magnifiers just until it's green. And then once it's green, I'm going to remove this and either put it down here or, okay, I'm going to start spending on Zimbittles and then whatever, right? And as you go through, you can quickly realize, oh, wait a second. Impulse detectors, each of the four of these cost 360, but four of these for the Zenbittle cards cost 720. 360 is better than 720. Okay, so I should not be spending this here. I should be spending this here. And if that's the case, that frees up now some of the shard shop currency. And so you can kind of figure it out yourself and make your own choices based off of your income with each of these resources or which ones are overflowing, right? And so that's kind of how to use the icons. Um, Right, so now I need to put all these back, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask. You can message me or just put a comment on here. I will try to come back and look at it.